So there's a little bit that we do know, but a whole lot that we don't know regarding a decision that was made by a now former LSU football player. What was it? What does that mean? What do we know? And what can we assume? All of that on today's edition of Locked on LSU.
You are Locked On LSU, your daily podcast on the LSU Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Well, thank you for making Locked on LSU your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, we are part of the Locked On Network, your team every day. You can find Locked on LSU and all of the other Locked On podcasts on your preferred podcast network and your preferred podcast platform. But you can also find us on YouTube as well. Just search Locked On LSU in your YouTube search bar. Hit that subscribe button and you'll get notified as soon as the Locked On LSU episodes drop. My name is Caroline Fenton. I'm your host, as I am every day. I graduated from LSU. I've been covering LSU since 2016, and I'm now a sports talk radio host in Nashville, Tennessee. But let's get into it. Because on Wednesday evening, KeShawn Boutte tweeted that he will be declaring for the 2023 NFL Draft. Now, if this is the first you're hearing of it, you are probably shocked. If this is not the first you're hearing of it, when you did hear it for the first time, you probably were shocked, just like I was. Because I got a text from somebody that said KeShawn to the end. I'm driving at this point. I'm driving home from work. I get a text from somebody that says KeShawn to the NFL. And I'm like, what? Like, what does that mean? And of course, my first instinct is to open up Twitter, and it says, of course, a tweet from KeShawn Boutte that says that he will be declaring for the 2023 NFL Draft. And all of these questions and thoughts kind of went through my head. And I want to share all of those with you. But first, I want to break down what we do know. I want to break down the timeline of this decision. So, less than a month ago, early December, KeShawn Boutte tweets out like a very beautifully, very well done, very well thought out graphic and statement about how he believes in this coaching staff. He believes in this training staff. He believes in what everything that LSU football is building. And he believes in this Brian Kelly coaching system and that his job isn't quite done yet. And that he wants to live out his dream of winning a national championship with LSU. And I was shocked and floored. I did not expect KeShawn Boutte to return for his senior season. But I took to Locked on LSU the next day. And I shared with you all, I said, yes, it's important to bring back seniority. Yes, it's important to bring back experience. And yes, it's important to bring back a player as talented as we know KeShawn Boutte is, as talented as he has shown us that he truly is, specifically in that 2020 season. But I said more than anything, it's an important message being sent from one of the leaders and veterans on this team that he's bought into Brian Kelly, that he's bought in to this new coaching staff. So more than anything, while KeShawn Boutte, when he announced that he was coming back to LSU, well, it was important to bring back, his experience on the field. I thought more than anything, it was almost like a symbolic return to LSU. That, hey, this guy who was brought in by the Coach Ed Orgeron era, he's staying on at LSU because he believes so much in this team. That meant more to me than anything. And then the next we hear is around 5 o'clock-ish, no, earlier than that, like the afternoon of Wednesday, December 28th. And LSU releases a press release, a very short press release, that says KeShawn Boutte is, quote, unavailable for the Citrus Bowl. Said he will be unavailable to play. He's still enrolled at LSU for the spring semester. That was it. Not a whole lot of context. And I'm reading that and thinking, that's weird. That's strange. I don't see that very often. You see players opting out of bowl games when they're going to the NFL draft. KeShawn Boutte said like 3 weeks ago, if that he wasn't declaring for the NFL draft. So was it a health concern? Was it an injury? No, 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 no. LSU came out and said no. No injury, no illness. There's nothing, physically impairing him from playing. Is it possibly an academic issue? Final grades, I'm sure, just came out not too long ago. I don't know. I'm not in school anymore. But, final grades probably just were posted. Did the final grades come out and he was academically ineligible? Well, if that was the case, then at least she probably would have come out and said that, right? Like it's not a Fort Knox secured secret if players are academically ineligible, if they can't play. I mean, that happens a lot. Is it a matter of KeShawn Boutte broke a team rule and he was suspended for the bowl game? Well, maybe so. I'm not accusing him of doing that, but even still, if that was the case, I'm sure LSU football would have said, per team rules, KeShawn Boutte will be out for the bowl game. And that would say to me, okay, a rule was broken. There's some sort of suspension, and that's what it is. They would have clarified that. They would have said that, but that's not what they did. LSU gave zero context to that. And I thought that is strange. If it's not academics, which they probably would have said, if it's not an injury, they would have said that. If it's not a team rule thing, is KeShawn Boutte just sitting out of the bowl game for fun? Is KeShawn Boutte sitting out of incredibly important and valuable time with the team and bowl practices to prepare for next season? That doesn't really make any sense. Is he making sure that he doesn't get hurt in this game that I don't like saying that it means nothing, but it means nothing in the grand scheme of things? Is he trying to make sure that he doesn't get injured in this game so he can come back next year and improve his draft stock next year? Well, that's kind of strange, right? Because why sit out of a bowl game when you play 12 games in the regular season next year before you declare for the NFL draft? So everything about that announcement and everything about that release was fishy to me. It was strange. I didn't understand it. I didn't follow it. I said everything about this kind of makes it seem like KeShawn Boutte's not being a very good teammate. It just seemed like to me he just didn't want to play. That's what it seemed like. I was looking for more information to give him the benefit of the doubt, but all signs pointed to me towards he just didn't feel like playing. And then it all started to make sense. Because about 5 hours later, if that, KeShawn Boutte tweets that he will be declaring for the NFL draft in 2023. So what I want to know there is what happened? What happened? I believe it was December 5th that he came out and said that he was going to come back. Let's for argument's sake, say December 5th. So about 3 weeks ago. What changed in those 3 weeks? Has KeShawn Boutte just changed his mind? Has he thought, you know what? Like I really enjoyed everything that I've learned, all the growth that I have made in this past year. That's what he said in his initial release that said he was returning, that he'd grown so much in his first year under Brian Kelly. As much as I appreciated this 1 year, I'm looking at the amount of money that I can make and thinking about my dream of a lifetime of playing in the NFL. And, I'm just ready to pursue that now. I get it. Totally understand. Follow your dream. Get your bag. Got it. I don't discredit you at all for that. Or did something happen? And enough with the KeShawn Boutte's declaring for the NFL draft because Jaden Daniels announced that he was returning. Okay. Like that is a ridiculous conspiracy theory that I absolutely cannot get on board with. This whole Jaden Daniels and KeShawn Boutte feud that was completely cooked up by, I think, LSU fans just based off of body language on the sidelines and based off of the stat sheet of Jaden Daniels not targeting KeShawn Boutte enough. I mean, it's not a personal beef that those two have with each other. And KeShawn Boutte's not coming back because of Jaden Daniels. That's not the thing. Was it a team discipline thing that he was like, look, I'm out. I don't want to deal with this anymore. I'm ready to go to the NFL. And I don't know what happened. I don't know how KeShawn Boutte made his decision. And frankly, I don't really know if I care that much. What I do care about is what comes next for LSU. Now that KeShawn Boutte has announced that he actually will declare for the NFL draft this year. We'll get into that coming up next. But before we do that, I want to tell you about betonline.net. BetOnline.net is your number one source for sports betting information, stats, news, and analysis. You can get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there. There's pro football, college bowl season is heating up. I was just mentioning earlier today. I said this time of bowl season is my absolute favorite because you have the most ridiculous and asinine teams playing in the most ridiculous bowl games, and you have them from the minute you wake up to the minute you go to bed from now until, this weekend. It's the most exciting time in college bowl season. But there's also basketball, both in the college level and in the NBA. So they've got it all at betonline.net. So if you love sports podcasts, you can even find those at BetOnline as well. It's your one-stop shop. It's always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting information. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. Thank you for making Locked On LSU your first listen every day. Now make sure to check out Locked On Sports today. The biggest stories around the sports world in 20 minutes or less, plus instant reactions, game recaps, and Locked On's take of the day. Locked On Sports today, available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. So like I mentioned, KeShawn Boutte out. He's declaring for the NFL draft not even a month after he announced that he would be returning to LSU. Now, I have a bunch of theories of, did something happen internally? Was KeShawn Boutte promised something that what he wasn't delivered? Is he frustrated with the team, or is it simply just, hey, I can make millions and millions of dollars in the NFL? And after some time and some thinking and some counseling, I'm actually going to change my mind. Whatever it is, whatever the story might be, barring a massive, juicy scandal of something going on behind the walls, the four walls of the LSU football building, I don't really know if I necessarily really care. If KeShawn Boutte wants to declare for the NFL draft, good. More power to you. You're a talented player. You've got a bright future ahead of you. Go for it. So the real thing that I want to know about is what comes next. And my initial reaction to that is, I think this team's going to be okay. I really do. And I think that there are sometimes you see players declare for the NFL draft and you're like, man, we're going to miss that guy. Like, good for you. Like, go to the NFL draft. You deserve it. Go pursue your career. But man, we are really going to miss you. And I'm not saying that KeShawn Boutte isn't that guy, but I look at this wide receiver room that KeShawn Boutte is leaving behind. You've got the team's leading receiver in Malik Nabers, who will be coming back. You've got Brian Thomas and Kyren Lacy, two players that have a good bit of college experience under their belts. And those three receivers already have a year with Jaden Daniels under their belts. And that's making an assumption that Jaden Daniels will be the starting quarterback in 2023. He's returning in 2023. The best quarterback is going to win the job. And if that's Jaden Daniels, so be it. If that's Garrett Nussmeier, then great. Then that team's in good position. And you've also got Shelton Sampson and Jalen Brown and Kyle Parker coming in the 2023 class. You've got Aaron Anderson, New Orleans native, transferring into LSU. And I don't know if they're really going to use him as a wide receiver, true wide receiver, or really just as a contributor on special teams that kind of grows into a wide receiver role, whatever it might be. There's a good bit of depth on in this wide receiver core. You can always add more. You can always add more depth. You can always add more talent. But it's not like KeShawn Boutte's exit leaves LSU in an incredibly desperate situation. This wide receiver room still has so much talent, both proven and budding talent in Kyren Lacy, Shelton Sampson, Jalen Brown, Kyle Parker, some of these younger guys. Also Aaron Anderson. I'll add him into that group as well. Some of the younger guys that still have so much room to grow and develop. So this team is going to be okay without KeShawn Boutte. And I mentioned this in the podcast whenever KeShawn Boutte decided that he would announce, or whenever he announced that he decided to come back to LSU. I said that, bringing back a player that has as much talent as KeShawn Boutte has, even if it wasn't on display in 2022, we know that KeShawn Boutte is a talented receiver. We've seen it. So getting that talent back and that experience back and that leadership back and that seniority back, those are all things that are invaluable to any football team. And why I thought it was such a big deal that KeShawn Boutte was coming back. But I think we saw this past year in 2022, KeShawn Boutte didn't live up to the expectation that I think we all had set going into this year. We saw what KeShawn Boutte could do. We saw how good he was in the 2021 season, how he balled out in the 2021 season. And of course, unfortunately, went down with an injury, with a tragic. It was not tragic. It was a brutal ankle injury. And we were all excited. I know I was. I was excited to see KeShawn Boutte come back and repeat and build upon the success that he had the year prior. And we didn't see that. It was really kind of a theme throughout the entire season, starting from week 1. Where is KeShawn Boutte? Why is KeShawn Boutte not getting the ball more? Why is KeShawn Boutte dropping the ball a lot? And you can attribute a lot of that to maybe quarterback and wide receiver chemistry. I think that's a totally fair critique on Jaden Daniels. I think it's a totally fair critique of Jaden Daniels that sometimes he held on to the football when the football should have been thrown to a receiver, to KeShawn Boutte. But that's a totally different conversation for a totally different day. But when you get down to it, KeShawn Boutte didn't live up to the expectations that I know I set for him. That KeShawn Boutte only had not even 550 receiving yards on the season. I mean, that's not the expectation that I had set. So all of that considered, this team is going to be okay without KeShawn Boutte, because I think it proved how many other offensive weapons can be used when KeShawn Boutte isn't. Malik Nabers, for one. Mason Taylor, a true freshman tight end that contributed to this team immensely. Now he has another year underneath him. He has his true freshman season behind him that he can build upon. This offensive line is only going to improve. I'm excited to see how good this offensive line is going to be in Will Campbell's second year, and how good this offensive line is with another year of learning each other, another year of experience under their belts. This offense is going to be in good shape. There's 2 really solid quarterbacks that are competing for the starting job in 2023. And there's really good weapons, not just in the wide receiver room, but also in the tight end group as well. Need some running back depth. But this offense is going to be okay. This offense does not live and die by KeShawn Boutte. So now that KeShawn Boutte is not part of it, it's going to be okay. As much as his leadership and experience and expertise and talent will be missed, they're going to be okay. And another element here, too, that I don't really know what to make of it. I'll pull this up on my phone. Literally, 10 minutes after KeShawn Boutte announced that he would be declaring for the NFL draft, Jack Beshs tweeted, and I'll pull it up. If you're watching the YouTube stream, you can see me pulling it up. Jack Beshs tweeted, just 2 laughing, crying emojis. I don't know what to think of that. I don't know how to interpret that. I think I could interpret that literally a million different ways. Because let's be honest, it has everything to do with KeShawn Boutte's announcement. I don't think it was a coincidence that he tweeted that out 5-10 minutes after KeShawn Boutte announced he's going to the NFL draft. So I don't know if that's a laughing, crying emoji of animosity within the wide receiver group this past year, maybe toward KeShawn Boutte. Complete and total speculation on my part. I don't know if that's animosity of Jack Beshs toward KeShawn Boutte. Really, you announced that you're going to come back, so I leave because I don't see an opportunity for me to start, and then you go to the NFL draft, and now I'm stuck. What now? Where do I go? I already announced that I'm going to TCU next year, and I don't know if it's a laughing, crying emoji of I'm glad that I'm gone. I don't know. I mean, you can. That's the tough part about it, is that you can interpret that however you want. And you listening, you can interpret that however you want. But I think it's interesting that that was even tweeted in the first place. But it is a Mailbag Wednesday. So coming up next, I will get into your questions. And of course, every week you can send in your Mailbag Wednesday questions. However you'd like to send them in, we'll get into those coming up next. It's a Mailbag Wednesday. Every single week, I will get to your questions. If you want to be featured on next week's Mailbag Wednesdays, you can tweet your questions into me at Locked On LSU. You can DM them at Caroline Fenton 1 is my personal. You can DM them to Locked On LSU as well. So let's get into them. First and foremost, this one's coming in from Kendon on Twitter. He tweeted me and said, "Are you excited about the Citrus Bowl or no? I'm excited, but also stressing about losing to Purdue. I'm just used to being a disappointed LSU fan." So uh, I'll start with this. I will never say that I'm not excited for an LSU football game. I mean, have to be very extreme circumstances for me to not be excited about an LSU football game. But all of that being said, I think this brings like a different kind of excitement, at least for me, and you may feel differently. The kind of excitement that it brings for me isn't the same kind of it wasn't the same kind of excitement that we get like before an Alabama game, before an Ole Miss game, before an Auburn game, before the first game of the season, where there's big time stakes, where all eyes of college football are on this game, where all roads to Atlanta and to the college football playoff run through these games. Those are different kinds of excitement. I'm excited about this game because I think we're going to see a lot of players that we haven't seen before. Brian Kelly mentioned a few of those names in his press conference last week. Some players who maybe redshirted this past year that we haven't seen, maybe some players that we haven't seen a lot of that are now going to be filling in holes that have been left by players that opted out of the bowl game, going to the NFL draft, so on and so forth. So I'm excited to see just the initial look of this team with the players currently on the roster. I would say probably more specifically on the defensive side of the ball, on the defensive line and the defensive back room, about what this team looks like and who is going to be filling in and who really wows us and who really starts to make a name for themselves in the Citrus Bowl. No, the Citrus Bowl doesn't necessarily, this doesn't mean anything tangible. You're not going to go into the 2023 season flaunting a Citrus Bowl win. You're not going to hang a banner for the Citrus Bowl. But I think it's important because you don't want to go out on the season 0-3. You don't want to lose to A&M, then lose the SEC championship, and then lose the Citrus Bowl. For momentum's sake and for just feeling good about your team's sake. Yeah, this team matters, or this game matters rather. But yeah, so I'm excited about it, but it's not the same kind of excitement of, oh my gosh, this is a big one. I think it's more so the excitement of, let's look forward to 2023 because I'm excited about what kind of pieces LSU really has. Next question. Of course, again, it's a Mailbag Wednesday. This one kind of made me laugh a little bit. This one person asked a question. Why don't you want Garrett Nussmeier to start a quarterback? So that's not the case. It's not like I have a personal vendetta against Garrett Nussmeier. It's not that I don't want Garrett Nussmeier to be the starting quarterback of this football team. It's not like if Garrett Nussmeier wins the starting job that I'm going to boycott LSU football because he's the starter. That's not the case at all. I want the best quarterback on this team, the quarterback that gives this team the best chance to win. I want that to be my quarterback. I want that quarterback to be quarterbacking LSU in 2023. That might be Garrett Nussmeier. If so, great. But that might also be Jaden Daniels. That might be Walker Howard. I don't know. I'm not counting anything out. I want the quarterback that gives this team the best chance to win to be the quarterback in 2023. I tend to be in the belief where it stands on December 28th, before spring ball, before, summer training camp, that is Jaden Daniels. A quarterback with 4 years of experience under his belt. A quarterback who was responsible for almost 70% of the offense this past year. A quarterback that has proven that he doesn't turn the ball over. Does he have his flaws? 100%. Does he hold on to the football too long sometimes? Yup. Does he run it himself when there's open receivers downfield? Yes, he does. He's done it several times, and it is very well documented on this podcast how frustrated that has made me in the past. But let's not act like Garrett Nussmeier doesn't have his flaws either. Let's not act like Jaden Daniels' experience is something that we can just kind of flick away and say, oh, well, no, we don't care. We don't care about a quarterback that has 4 years of starting experience on this football team. One of those is on this football team. And let's go for the unproven commodity instead that has a reputation for being sloppy with the football. So it's not that I don't want Garrett Nussmeier to start. I would love for Garrett Nussmeier to start if he's the best quarterback in this room in 2023. It's just my opinion where it stands right now. You're more than welcome to disagree with me if you'd like. I've heard it plenty. I hear y'all. My opinion is that Jaden Daniels gives this team the best opportunity to win in 2023. where it stands right now. So enough with this. Caroline Fenton hates Garrett Nussmeier stuff. That is not absolutely not the case. But again, we do a Mailbag Wednesday every Wednesday. Get those questions in. Send them on Twitter at Caroline Fenton1 at Locked On LSU. You can DM them. You can tweet them to me. You can comment them right here on the YouTube page, and I'll make sure to get those questions every Mailbag Wednesday. Now, coming up on tomorrow's episode, we will do a full preview of Purdue, of the bowl game, of the Citrus Bowl, some roster updates, and of course, we'll continue to update on National Signing Day as well. I've been wanting to get to National Signing Day for the past couple of days, but we just keep getting drama, keep getting some tea, keep getting some updates that I want to keep y'all updated with. But we'll get into all of that on tomorrow's episode of Locked On LSU. But thank you for making Locked On LSU your first listen today. Now make your second listen Locked On Sports Today. Peter Bukowski brings you the biggest stories from all around the sports world in 20 minutes. Get the analysis and opinions before anyone else with our local and national experts and insiders. Locked On Sports Today podcast, available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.